I'd want to talk about how women react to MGTOW as well as what one lady publicly said about MGTOW and how I responded to her. Recently, some thoughts on the MGTOW culture were brought to us from a woman named Leslie Fetch. This is what Leslie had to say after watching some of my videos. These videos are bizarre to say the least. I stumbled upon this video by accident and had never heard of MGTOW before. They're really sexist, but in a misinformed rather than nasty way in my opinion, so rather than feeling like it's an assault on women, I think these are obviously biased owing to a lack of male culpability for nefarious activities, and facts are given in an emotionally neutral manner that appears very realistic. I mean, I've seen scholarly essays where a woman claims men are nothing but problems and then goes on to say very seriously that all women should effectively become lesbians, at least until the oppressive gender dynamics are resolved. These publications go on to suggest that intercourse with a male can only be violent, which is completely crazy. So while I'm concerned about the message being delivered, I welcome the lack of hostility directed at women. I'm interested. So while I'm concerned about the message being delivered, I welcome the lack. Now, I'd want to ask you a very serious question. Do the men who supported Nicolas Castro believe in the complete segregation of the sexes? Do you really think that women hold all of the power in the world? Which frequently give me the impression that they are completely illogical. And how much of a part do you believe males have in the gender dynamics that are messed up? How do you account for all of the powerful and wealthy men who hold high-ranking positions in government and business and who have accumulated enormous amounts of wealth? Are there any aspects of the concept of patriarchy with which you can identify and agree? I'm a lady. I'm not trying to be dismissive of your point of view, but I am interested in learning more about it. I'm genuinely interested to know if we're the sexist ones in this situation, because we refuse to give up our lives for women and choose to live our lives for and by ourselves instead of sacrificing ourselves for them. If you take the red pill, you will be able to see through the opaque cloud of covert control and manipulation that women have over men. Out of ignorance, the state, businesses, and cultural organizations have created barriers in front of us men just to favor women over deserving men. When we look behind the mist, we discover that women purposely make things complicated so that men like us can continue to leap through feminine hoops for the rest of our lives. This is done so that we are forced to conform to feminine expectations. If you call our freedom sexist, you are nothing more than a tyrant, since we are now free from your oppression. If they found out that someone was oppressing them in the same way that women oppress men, many women would throw a temper tantrum. This is why you're interested, because we're being honest, sensible, and unaffected by what we know. Many women have had an effect on our behavior by only permitting us to have sexual encounters when we behave in a way the feminine collective thought to be acceptable. Women hand out sexual encounters to guys like they're goodies for their dogs. If we take you to a dinner party or buy you that pocketbook or flowers you've always wanted, you often repay us with your affection, love, and physical closeness. What are your options if we don't take you to a dinner party or buy you flowers or a pocketbook? You put us in the doghouse, midtown males, unless, of course, this is feminine nature. It's no longer a mystery to us. And many of us have seen enough of it to realize that this is just feminine nature, and getting upset about it is a waste of time. Do we become irritated when the baby poops in its diapers? Obviously not. Do we become irritated when it rains? Obviously not. Instead, we have an umbrella with us. Our canopy, in this case, is the internet, our knowledge and sharing of it with others. Leslie, you also say that many female authors in academic papers believe that men are the problem and that all women should essentially become lesbians. To me, this indicates that these are women who are afraid of us and our strength. If you've ever been to a feminist demonstration, you've probably noticed that there are a lot of lesbians present. This is because they are attempting to incite men's anger so that young and naive women flock to feminists while guys who win our own. It is a difficult final step for many of us to acknowledge the reality that we must let go of the dream that is called love and that is used to keep men boys for their entire lives, even though most of us have loved women. Society fears real men because a real man lives his life for himself and without regrets. Residents of Midtown believe that society keeps us unhappy and dissatisfied in order for us to be more productive. But the truth is that when we're pleased, we're even more productive, despite the fact that society is afraid of our happiness. At the very least, you believe that when it comes to intercourse with women, guys are more than just violent, and some men are rough in bed, which some women enjoy in bed, even though some men can be slackers and pushovers. You believe that it's a matter of personal preference, but there are women who are strongly opposed to it as well. You also assert that gender roles and essential concepts can be harmful to both men and women. Women have a more communal way of interacting with one another than men do, which is why men in society as a whole are more likely to fall prey to stereotypical tropes. Men, on the other hand, are more introverted and individualistic, which is why our perspectives on the world tend to be more varied. I agree that stereotyping can be harmful in certain situations. However, since most men are unaware of female gynocentrism, they need generalized knowledge in order to grasp the concepts. I also talk about specific ladies by adding personal experiences that I've had and that other men in my life have had, and I discussed both the positive and negative aspects regarding your serious concerns regarding the MGTOW. First and foremost, you question whether or not we endorse coercion. We don't see complete gender separation after all, and many of us are content to date and have vaginal intercourse with women on occasion. However, we won't give up our lives or change our behavior to compensate for some of the outrageous demands that women can make on us, and we sincerely believe that women have all the strength because they make up the majority of voters. Our culture does not have a balance of men and women that is exactly 50/50. If men pass away 5 years earlier than women, then women will have greater political power than men since there will be more female votes than male votes. I recently had a conversation with a woman who disagreed with you on this topic. She thought that since I stated it, the split had to be 50/50, but that's not the case. In other nations, females make up between 53 and 54% of the total population. What about gender parity in terms of representation? That will never happen. Unsure, and neither will equalizing the voting rights of men and women. Leslie, you also asked about the degree to which men should be held responsible for the imbalanced gender dynamics of today, and men are tortured. No one, including other men, women, or children, has any affection for a man who is whipped, and no one enjoys the company of men who are squimpy. Therefore, when men act like manganas and white knights and try to help women and give them what they want, they are actually wreaking devastation for the rest of us. Men are reckless for being nice, and they erect towers over men who are not kind. I train myself to analyze the conduct of women logically, rather than responding emotionally to what I saw. On the other hand, women need to take on more responsibility because they make up the majority of single parents and are ultimately responsible for the upbringing of men and boys, which can lead to a situation in which those males become manganas and undermine gender dynamics. You may also wonder why there are a disproportionate number of men occupying high-ranking positions in both business and politics. The answer to that question is simple. Most of the time, women are the ones in charge of managing and redistributing the money and creativity that is generated by males. Since men are the ones who invent everything, there is no reason why they shouldn't make the money and, in essence, hold the power. You are practically advocating that men should invent 99 of the things we love in our everyday lives, build their businesses, and then hand them over to women. Google was started by 2 men, and Facebook was also started by a man. The steam engine was built by a man. Most of the time, guys who amass wealth and power do so in order to woo and maintain women who are gorgeous. This is because most men want attractive women. Both wealth and power can be viewed as tools to an end. If you want to be a communist, Leslie, you should go live in Cuba or North Korea. In those countries, men give up their authority because when they lose the ability to accumulate wealth and power, they stop innovating and caring about anything. Working for free is a pointless endeavor. You also asked me if I believe in any kind of patriarchy, and my response to that is that patriarchy is a phrase that is used to strip men of their rights by saying that men need to share power equally. However, patriarchy is not about power. Rather, it is about accountability. The majority of women do not want to work in construction or road repair because they do not want to be responsible for anything. Instead, they want to work as city planners, telling road workers what to repair from the safety and comfort of a desk. Men are in charge of ensuring that the roads, factories, and other critical infrastructure remain operational. However, most women do not want to work in these fields because they do not want to be responsible. His uncle once made the observation that great power comes with big responsibility, and that the vast majority of women aspire to have great male power, but do not want great man duty. At the very least, the vast majority of them do not want it to occur. I hope that I have successfully taught you both what it means to be a man and what it means to be a MGTOWer. Women, on the other hand, will never truly understand what it means to be a man unless they are forced to rely on themselves. 100 men don't give each other freebies or handouts. When I ask most of my friends for free help on a project, they usually tell me to piss off if I pay the money, though they will arrive on time. Women have. I wish I could enjoy the perks of being a woman, but in a way, I never can because I'm never able to put what my mother gave me to use. Try to do everything in your life without any assistance and see how it goes. Better yet, do everything for yourself and need the occasional man here and there. Do everything for yourself. And when several ladies ask me for favors, I always warn them that it will cost them money. As a result, they frequently disperse and flee as quickly as possible. That has been my experience as well. Male emancipation is about men going their own way for the first time in history. We are no longer obligated to be providers and can do whatever we want to consider us the Men's Liberation Society, or at the very least the Men's Liberation Society. Applause for Leslie and everyone else, and thank you for taking your prescribed quantity of red pills each day. I hope you all have a lovely rest of the day.